glad that you decided to watch this live. And today I'm going to be talking about a rather eventful night way back in January, in a cold winter type January night, full moon, beautiful evening, except it was a little bit crisp. And the boat was loaded. We had the shrimp nets, we had gasoline, we had a camp stove, we had a pot to boil water, we had seasoning, we had sauce, we had cigars, we had some bourbon. It was going to be a great night. Well, we anchored in the channel, and the way it works when you're shrimping is that you anchor the boat right in the middle of the channel on an outgoing tide. We were in the Gulf of Mexico, and there was a channel that went through to the Atlantic Ocean. And what happened was is that we threw out the nets, and then we had lights that we centered around the front of the nets. And the idea is that the moonlit night causes the shrimp to run, the lights cause the shrimp to come up, and then they flow into the net, and bingo, you've got lots of juicy, fresh shrimp. And that was the whole idea. Well, we put the nets out, put the lights out, and the way the boat was arranged was that where the motor was, right in front of the motor, there was 2 5-gallon tanks of gasoline, and then in front of that there were, next to a divider on the transom, next to that was another 2 5-gallon tanks of gasoline. Well, there was a little bit of gas, sloshed around on the trip out, and so it was in the back, and we were just waiting for it to evaporate. There were 2 of us. It was a buddy of mine that I'd known for about a year. He was an ex-heroin addict, and he lived on this 25-foot sailboat. So, he was pretty laid back. He was, entertaining. He was a good conversationalist. And the idea is that we were in this channel, and there were other boaters. I mean, there were 3 other boats. Was the farthest one away was about 20 feet, but over here to the right, about no more than 10 feet, was one boat, and over here to the left was another boat, and then one just a little bit long. We weren't necessarily lined up in a straight line, but we covered the channel from right to left. Well, everything was going great. We had the nets out. We were ready to go, and we decided that we'd crank up the camp stove and get the water boiling. And so we fooled around with that for a little bit, and it wasn't going well. And then what happened was that we finally got it going, but it sprayed some gasoline in the back of the boat, and we were just going to let it evaporate. Well, we finally got the camp stove cranked up. Everything was going great. We decided we'd light up the cigars, lit up the cigars. We're sitting there having a conversation, smoking the cigars, and then we decided we'd adjust the nets a little bit. So it laid down the cigar, and we went over and adjusted the nets. And as we did that, what happened is the cigar rolled off one of the ledges, hit the floor, and immediately everything went up in flames. So we're standing there, and the boat's on fire, and we immediately go for the towels, for the rags, for anything that we can get, and we start beating this whole back end of the boat with the gasoline and the water splashing, and just, he had one side, I had another side, and we were just going at it. We didn't have a fire extinguisher, and we were using our feet to stamp it out. We were using, you cannot pour water on a gasoline fire. Bad news. You definitely don't do that. So this went on for around 15 minutes. We finally got it under control, and we're both on our hands and knees in the bottom of the boat, just going after it. And what happened was that, we stand back up, and we look around, and all of the other boaters and shrimpers that were there were all focused on us, because if we had gone up in flames and had an explosion, I can guarantee you it would have taken out another 8 to 12 people just about that fast. So they were definitely interested in learning what our situation was. Well, what happened was that the stove was cooking that hot water. We gathered up the nets, we popped a few shrimp heads, threw them in the pot, added a little bit of seasoning to it, and then sat there and ate fresh shrimp. And it was a feast to remember. So, what did I learn about this whole thing? Well, I learned how I react under stress. Is that a good thing? Yeah, it really is, because if you understand how you react under stress, do you go from stress to anger to high blood pressure to possible heart attack, or do you go from stress to complete avoidance and then you burn up the whole boat and it sinks and not a good day? Or, what is it? Because what we as humans, we're all wired differently. And we can be reactive, we can be proactive. And, if we're being proactive, that means that we're thinking down the road about our health systems. What kind of behavior are we doing? Is it risky? Is it not risky? Well, is our lifestyle that way? Do we smoke? Do we drink? Do we eat to excess? Do we sleep to excess? Is there depression? Any of the things that we do in our lives to excess is pretty much trouble, all right? If we do things in moderation and we change our lifestyle, like going from whole milk down to 2%, that is a moderation. Giving up cigarette smoking. Instead of eating 24 wings, you go down to about 5 wings. And if you're going to be, drinking, you don't drink and drive. What you do is you moderate. You just have 2 glasses. So what we need to understand is that in our lifestyles, we can create health issues. And we need to figure out whether or not we have one. So one of the things that happened with me is in my 40s, I always thought, I'll exercise. And I believe I mentioned this in the past, that I got on an exercise program and got addicted to it. So I exercise. I'm not necessarily a fanatic, but I do exercise, and it helps reduce the stress. It helps moderate my life, and it makes me feel better. All right? So the more that we learn about ourselves and the more that we reduce our risky behavior, the chances are we're going to live a little bit longer. That risky behavior, letting the anger build up, risky behavior, being in denial, risky behaviors, a lot of it has to do with our mental attitude. And, we need to have help. And if you do need help for the prevention, or you need to quit, you got to reach out for it. Nobody's just going to walk up to you and say, hey, you need to quit smoking. You need to quit drinking. There are definitely people that'll do that, but the majority of people won't. So understand that it's not, any habit can be broken at any time, and it's never too late. It's never too late. So what were the lessons that I learned from the fire on the boat? Number one, you have a good group of people around you that support you, people that will lean in when the times get hard. You want to associate with people that are going to be able to uplift you, be able to appreciate what you bring to the table, people that will get things done when you're not able to get them done. And the next thing is that you got to be able to trust these people. They've got to have your back. And if you don't trust them, you don't need to do business with them. And then the last thing I learned is you got to carry a fire extinguisher when you're on a boat with gasoline and flammables. So go ahead, comment down below, tell me what you think. Understand that I do have a men's group called Mach 1, and go to the group, check it out. It's a very exclusive group, and we are talking about men's health. But I look forward to talking to you on the next live.